She was spending Christmas alone at a cafe until a single dad and his little girl sat beside her and changed everything. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Elena Martinez woke up at 8 in the morning on Christmas Day in her two-bedroom luxury condo in Denver to the sound of absolutely nothing. Not a text message or a phone call, or even the neighbor's dog barking. Just silence so complete, it felt like the whole world had disappeared overnight and left her behind. She laid there staring at her ceiling, trying to remember the last time she'd woken up on Christmas with something to look forward to. And the answer was 2 years ago, before her parents died in a car accident on December 18th, and took with them every single family tradition and connection she'd ever had. Here's the thing about being an only child who loses both parents suddenly: you don't realize how much of your social life was actually just family until they're gone, and you're standing in the middle of a supposedly successful life, realizing you have absolutely nobody. Elena was 33 years old, had a marketing degree from a good school, used to have a high-paying corporate job until she got laid off 3 weeks ago in a company-wide downsizing. And when she'd cleaned out her desk, she'd realized with horrible clarity that every single person she considered a friend was actually just a coworker who'd stopped texting her within a month. She tried to stay in bed and sleep through Christmas, but by 1 in the afternoon, she was climbing the walls of her empty apartment that she'd bought with her parents' life insurance money, the second bedroom still set up as a guest room for visitors who never came. No decorations, because who decorates for themselves? No tree, because what's the point? She grabbed her laptop and her wallet and left the building just to be around other humans, even if they were strangers, and ended up at Chen's 24-hour cafe because it was the only place she knew would be open, and Mrs. Chen never asked too many questions. Across town, Gavin Hart was having the worst morning of his entire 36 years. And that was saying something, considering he'd spent the last 8 months unemployed with PTSD and a 4-year-old daughter depending on him for literally everything. He woke up at 9 to someone pounding on his apartment door so hard the whole place shook, and when he opened it, his landlord was standing there with a sheriff-looking official and cold. "Building's been sold. Your 30-day notice expired today. You need to vacate immediately." Gavin felt his stomach drop straight through the floor. "It's Christmas Day. Can we please have until tomorrow? Just one more day?" But the landlord shook his head. "Should have found another place. You've got 2 hours to get your stuff out." Behind him, his daughter Lily was waking up in her little twin bed, asking in that sweet, sleepy 4-year-old voice, "Daddy, is Santa coming here, or is he meeting us somewhere else?" And Gavin had to turn away so she wouldn't see him crying, because how do you tell a kid on Christmas morning that you're about to be homeless? He knelt down and forced his voice to sound happy. "Santa's magic, baby. He knows where to find you, no matter where we are. We're going on a Christmas adventure today, okay?" And Lily's whole face lit up, because at 4 years old, an adventure sounds exciting instead of terrifying. They packed everything they owned into 3 duffel bags and loaded Gavin's beat-up truck, and Lily thought it was the coolest thing ever, kept asking, "Where are we going, Daddy? Is this part of the adventure?" While Gavin drove around Denver with no plan and no destination, just trying to keep the heat running so she'd stay warm. Every motel had a no vacancy sign, and even if they didn't, he couldn't afford a room anyway. Had maybe $40 in his account, and that needed to last until his next paycheck from the warehouse job that barely covered food. At 1:30, he pulled into Chen's Café because Lily was getting cold and fussy, and he needed somewhere warm to sit while he figured out what the hell to do next. Elena had been sitting in the corner booth for 30 minutes, pretending to work on her laptop while actually crying as quietly as possible. And when Mrs. Chen came by with a coffee refill, the old woman's face went soft. "You okay, honey? Nobody should be crying on Christmas." And Elena wiped her eyes fast. "I'm fine, Mrs. Chen. Just allergies." But they both knew that was garbage. Mrs. Chen left a whole stack of napkins and didn't push, just patted Elena's shoulder and walked away. And Elena went back to staring at her blank computer screen, wondering how her life had ended up so completely empty. At 2:15, the cafe door opened and Gavin walked in carrying Lily, who was clutching a worn stuffed rabbit and looking around with these huge excited eyes at all the Christmas decorations Mrs. Chen had hung everywhere. Gavin ordered one kid's hot chocolate and one coffee and asked, "Can we sit here for a while?" with this desperate edge in his voice, and Mrs. Chen glanced out the window at his truck packed full of belongings, and her expression shifted to understanding. Sit as long as you need, sweetheart. Take your time. They slid into a booth 3 down from Elena, and Lily immediately started coloring on the kids' menu, swinging her legs and humming, while Gavin pulled out his phone and started scrolling through apartment listings he absolutely could not afford. Lily was the one who noticed Elena first, tugged on Gavin's sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, that pretty lady is sad. Look, she's crying." And Gavin glanced over, distracted. "Sometimes grown-ups have bad days, baby. We need to leave her alone." But Lily had already decided in that fearless way 4-year-olds have that someone needed help. And before Gavin could stop her, she'd slid out of the booth and walked straight over to Elena's table, holding her stuffed rabbit. "Excuse me, why are you sad on Christmas? Santa doesn't like it when people are sad." And her little voice was so sincere and concerned that Elena looked up, completely shocked. Elena wiped her tears fast, trying to pull herself together. "Oh, sweetie, I'm okay. I'm just missing some people." And Lily tilted her head. "Are they in heaven? My grandma's in heaven. Daddy says she watches over us from there." Gavin came rushing over, looking mortified. "Lily, I'm so sorry. She's really friendly. Lily, come back here right now." But Elena surprised herself by smiling for the first time in weeks. "It's okay, really. She's very sweet." Lily looked up at Elena with those big innocent eyes. "Can I sit with you? You look really lonely." And Gavin started apologizing again, but Elena cut him off. "Actually, I am lonely. I'd love the company if that's okay with you." They ended up sitting together and talking for almost 2 hours without really noticing the time passing. Lily showing Elena her drawings and chattering about her stuffed rabbit named Hoppy, and Gavin and Elena making careful small talk around the edges of their actual situations. Elena asked, "Do you guys have big Christmas plans today?" trying to sound casual, and Lily announced proudly, "We're on an adventure. All our stuff is in Daddy's truck." And Gavin's face went bright red. Elena's brain connected the dots immediately. The packed truck, the desperation in his voice when he'd asked to sit, the way he kept checking his phone like he was searching for something he couldn't find, and her heart broke for this man trying so hard to make homelessness sound like an adventure for his daughter. "That sounds exciting," Elena said carefully, not wanting to embarrass him, and Gavin's shoulders relaxed slightly at her kindness. She asked about Lily's age and favorite things, and Lily told her, "I'm 4 3/4, and I love rabbits and drawing and my daddy." With such pure honesty, it made Elena's chest ache. Gavin asked her, "What about you? Do you have family nearby?" And Elena's answer came out before she could stop it. "No family at all. My parents died 2 years ago. It's just me now." And Gavin's expression changed to something that looked like recognition, like he knew exactly what that kind of loneliness felt like. They kept talking, and somewhere around 4:30 the light outside started fading, and Gavin checked his phone looking stressed, and Elena noticed him scrolling through apartment listings and doing math in his head that clearly wasn't working out. "Everything okay?" she asked gently, and Gavin's pride finally cracked under the weight of reality. "Can I be completely honest with you? We got evicted this morning. The landlord sold the building, and our notice expired today. I'm trying to figure out where we're sleeping tonight." Elena felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. "Evicted on Christmas Day? Where will you go?" And Gavin looked at his sleeping daughter with such love and shame mixed together. "The truck, I guess. I've got blankets, and the heater works. She'll be okay for one night." Elena's mind was already made up before the words even came out of her mouth. "I have a 2-bedroom apartment. The second bedroom is completely empty. You could stay there just for tonight until you figure something else out." Gavin's immediate response was defensive. "Absolutely not. We're not charity cases. We'll be fine." But Elena pressed, "It's not charity. Honestly, you'd be helping me. I've been alone in that apartment crying for 3 weeks, and your daughter is the first person who's asked if I'm okay in 2 years. Please let me do this." Gavin searched her face, looking for pity, and instead found loneliness that matched his own. And when Lily woke up and said, "Daddy, I'm cold. When are we going home?" his resistance finally broke. "Just for tonight, then. Just one night." And they both knew it was a lie. They followed Elena's car to her building and Gavin almost backed out when he saw how nice it was. "We can't stay here. This is too much." But Elena was already getting out. "It's too big for one person. Please come up." In the elevator, Lily's eyes were huge. "You live in a castle?" And Elena laughed for real, something she hadn't done in months. Her apartment was modern and clean and completely empty of personality. No Christmas tree or decorations or photos, just expensive furniture and silence. She showed them the second bedroom with its queen bed and empty dresser, an attached bathroom. "It's yours for as long as you need it." And Lily immediately jumped on the bed squealing, "Daddy, this is like a fancy hotel." That night, they ate Chinese food sitting on Elena's living room floor because Lily insisted it was more fun that way. And after dinner, they watched a Christmas movie with Lily falling asleep between them on the couch. Gavin carried her to bed, and when he came back, Elena was cleaning up the takeout containers with tears running down her face. "I was going to spend today alone wishing I didn't exist," she said quietly. "And instead, I got to eat lo mein on the floor with a 4-year-old who told me I look like a princess. So thank you for letting me help you, because you actually saved me." Gavin looked at this woman who'd opened her home to complete strangers and said, "She told you that?" And Elena laughed. "She said I look like a princess who lost her prince." And Gavin's voice went soft. "She's not wrong about the princess part." They talked until midnight about grief and loneliness and how they'd both ended up here. And when Gavin finally went to bed, Elena sat alone in her room, realizing her apartment didn't feel like a tomb anymore. And she heard Lily talking in her sleep. "I really like Miss Lena, Daddy. Can we stay?" And Gavin's quiet answer, "We'll see, baby. We'll see." And Elena made a decision right then that she was going to figure out how to make them stay without it feeling like charity. Because for the first time in 2 years, she had something to wake up for. Elena woke up the next morning to the sound of Lily singing some made-up song about princesses and rabbits. And for a second, she thought she was dreaming until she smelled pancakes cooking and realized Gavin was in her kitchen. She found him at the stove with Lily on a chair beside him, helping by pointing at things. And when he saw Elena, he looked embarrassed. "I hope this is okay. I found some pancake mix in your pantry. Lily always wants pancakes on the day after Christmas, and I figured it was the least I could do." Lily spotted Elena and practically launched herself across the kitchen. "Lena, Daddy's making breakfast. Do you like pancakes?" And Elena's heart did something complicated hearing Lily drop the miss already like they'd known each other for years. They ate breakfast together, and Gavin kept saying they needed to leave, that he'd figure something out. But when Elena asked, "Where will you go?" he didn't have an answer beyond shelters, maybe, something. Elena took a deep breath and made an offer that terrified her. "What if you stayed through New Year's? Just 1 week, it would give you time to actually find a good place instead of just any place." And Gavin immediately resisted. "Elena, we can't impose on you like that." But she cut him off. "You're not imposing. I'm asking you to stay, please." Something in her voice must have convinced him because he finally nodded. 1 week, then we find somewhere else. And they both knew that timeline was already slipping. The week turned into 2 and then 3, and somewhere in there it stopped feeling temporary and started feeling like home. Gavin job searching during the day, while Lily helped Elena with everything from making coffee to reorganizing closets. One afternoon they were baking cookies using Elena's mom's old recipe that she'd been too sad to make since the funeral. And Lily asked with that innocent directness only 4-year-olds have, "Are you a mama? You're really good at mama stuff." And Elena had to turn away before the kids saw her crying. "No, sweetie, I don't have any children." And Lily looked genuinely confused. "Why not? You should. You'd be the best mama ever." Gavin found Elena in the hallway trying to pull herself together and immediately apologized. "She didn't mean to upset you." But Elena shook her head. "I'm not upset. I'm just realizing I wanted kids. My parents wanted grandkids. I thought I had time, and then they died, and I threw myself into work, and here I am, 33 and completely alone." Gavin's hand found hers. "You're not alone anymore. You have us for as long as you'll put up with us." And Elena squeezed back. "That might be longer than you think." New Year's Eve hit, and Lily was asleep by 8, leaving Elena and Gavin on the couch with a bottle of wine. And Elena finally asked about the PTSD she'd noticed in the way he flinched at sirens and avoided talking about his old job. Gavin stared at his glass for a long time before answering. I was a paramedic for 5 years, but a very difficult emergency call 8 months ago involving a young child changed everything for me. I struggled to move past it because it reminded me so much of my own daughter. His voice cracked hard. After that, every single call I'd freeze up kept seeing Lily's face. I was a liability, so I quit before they could fire me. Been working warehouse night shifts ever since. Elena's friend Derek called the next day inviting her to a New Year's party, and when she asked if she could bring friends, he said yes without hesitation. And at the party, Derek, who worked in hospital administration, pulled Gavin aside. Elena mentioned you used to be a paramedic. We're hiring for patient transport at the hospital. It's not emergency medicine, but it's medical adjacent, and the pay's decent. You interested? Gavin looked like someone had just handed him a lifeline. You're serious right now? And Derek smiled. Elena's recommendation carries serious weight with me. Come interview Monday. Gavin got the job, and suddenly they had stable income and health insurance, and the possibility of actual stability. 2 months passed in this weird, beautiful limbo where they were living together and co-parenting Lily and definitely falling for each other, but both too scared to say it out loud. And other parents at Lily's preschool started assuming they were married, and neither of them bothered to correct it. Valentine's Day, Gavin brought Elena flowers. Thank you for giving us a home when we had nothing. And Elena got flustered. You don't have to thank me. But then they were standing too close in the kitchen and leaning in and almost kissing before both pulling back. I don't want to mess this up, Gavin said quietly. What we have right now is too important to risk. And Elena nodded, even though her heart was screaming at her to just kiss him already. March hit, and Lily asked Gavin the question he'd been dreading. Is Lena my mom? And Gavin tried to explain carefully. Your biological mom is someone else, baby. Lena's our really good friend. But Lily wasn't having it. I don't remember my real mom. Lena's the only mom I know. She does all the mom stuff. Can't she just be my mom for real? And Gavin realized his 4-year-old had better emotional clarity than he did. Yeah, he loved Elena. And yeah, she loved them. And yeah, they were already a family in every way, except officially. April brought everything to a head when Elena got a job offer in Seattle. Amazing position with a massive salary, and she sat Gavin down with her hands shaking. I got offered a job in Seattle. Really good opportunity, and I don't know what to do. And she watched Gavin's face fall, even as he forced a smile. That's incredible. You should absolutely take it. You've put your whole life on hold for us. Elena felt something break inside her. Have I put my life on hold, or have I finally found my actual life? And Gavin looked confused. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't want to go to Seattle. Elena's voice was rising. I don't want to leave you and Lily, but I don't know what we are. You won't let me help more than you already do. You won't let this become real. So what am I supposed to do? Gavin stood up fast. You want this to be real? You want us? And Elena was crying now. I want to be Lily's mom. I want to be your partner. I want this apartment to be our home, not just a temporary situation I'm letting you stay in. Yes, I want all of it. Gavin crossed the room in 2 steps. I've been in love with you since that first night when you shared Chinese food with us on the floor and made my daughter laugh on the worst day of our lives, and Elena grabbed his shirt. Then why didn't you say anything? And his answer came out broken. Because you're successful and beautiful and you saved us. I didn't want you to feel obligated or trapped. Elena kissed him before he could say anything else. Kissed him like she'd been wanting to for months. And from the hallway they heard Lily's voice. Finally, I've been waiting forever for you guys to figure this out. They both started laughing. How long have you been standing there? And Lily walked in grinning. The whole time, you guys talk so slow. I've known you loved each other since like January. Elena turned down the Seattle job, and Gavin officially moved his stuff into her bedroom instead of sleeping in the guest room. And Lily asked the question that mattered most. Can I call you Mama Lena now? And Elena knelt down crying. I would love that more than anything in the whole world, baby. 3 months of blissful family life passed, and then one Tuesday in July, someone knocked on the door, and when Gavin opened it, his face went completely white, and Elena heard a woman's voice she didn't recognize, say 5 words that made her blood run cold. I want my daughter back. Standing in the doorway was Stephanie, Lily's biological mother who'd signed away her parental rights when Lily was 6 months old, and she looked clean and sober and determined in a way that made Elena's stomach drop straight through the floor. I made a mistake leaving. I'm sober now and I have a job and I want to be Lily's mother. And her voice had this edge, like she was reading from a script someone else had written for her. Gavin stepped in front of the door, blocking her view inside. You signed away your rights 5 years ago. You don't get to just show up and demand her back. But Stephanie's jaw set firm. I was young and scared and struggling with addiction. I'm different now, and I deserve a second chance. From behind them, Lily's small voice asked, Daddy, who's that lady? And when Stephanie heard it, she tried to look past Gavin, but Lily had already hidden behind Elena, wrapping her arms around Elena's legs. I don't know her. Mama Lena, who is she? And Stephanie's face went hard when she heard the word mama. You let some stranger replace me? You let her be my daughter's mother? Gavin's voice came out low and dangerous. Elena didn't replace you. You were never there to replace. She's been Lily's mother since the day we met her, and you don't get to show up now and destroy that. 2 weeks later, they were sitting in a lawyer's office being told that Stephanie had filed for custody reinstatement, and the lawyer looked grim when she said, it's rare, but it happens, especially if she can prove rehabilitation and stable employment. The courts favor reunification with biological parents. Elena felt like she couldn't breathe. But Lily doesn't even know her. She calls me Mama. She's been with us for 18 months. And the lawyer nodded sympathetically. Which is why we need to move fast on formalizing your relationship. Are you two married? When they both said no, the lawyer's expression got even more serious. Then legally, Elena, you have zero rights to Lily. If something happens to Gavin, she goes to Stephanie by default. That night after Lily went to bed, Gavin pulled out a ring box he'd been hiding for 2 months, waiting for the perfect moment. I was going to do this over a fancy dinner with candles and everything, but we don't have time for perfect anymore. He got down on one knee in their living room. Elena Martinez, I'm asking you to marry me, not just because I'm completely in love with you, but because I want you to legally be Lily's mother. I want you protected, and I want our family official in every possible way. Elena was crying before he even finished. I don't need a ring to know I'm her mother, but yes, God, yes, let's make it legal and official and permanent. They got married 3 days later at the courthouse with Lily as their flower girl wearing a pink dress and carrying Hoppy the rabbit. And when the judge pronounced them married, Lily yelled, now it's official, official, so loud everyone in the courthouse heard it. They immediately filed for Elena to legally adopt Lily, and 2 weeks later, Lily had to meet with a court advocate who asked her, sweetheart, who do you want to live with? Lily didn't even hesitate. My daddy and my mama Lena, they're my family. I love them. I don't know that other lady who says she's my mom. The court battle dragged on for 3 months, and it came out during the investigation that Stephanie's new partner was encouraging her to reclaim custody for the wrong reasons, rather than a genuine bond with the daughter she had left behind. The judge saw right through it during the final hearing, looked at Stephanie with disappointment clear on his face. You voluntarily terminated your parental rights. This child has been raised by a mother who's been present since age 4. You don't get to disrupt a stable, loving home because you've decided you want to play house now. Petition denied. 6 months later, the adoption was finalized in a ceremony that had Elena and Lily both ugly crying, the judge asking, Lily, do you understand that Elena will be your legal mother forever? And Lily stood up on her chair so everyone could see her. She's been my real mother since I was 4. This just makes it official, official, official. The judge laughed and signed the papers and handed them a certificate that said Elena Rosa Martinez Hart was legally and permanently the mother of Lily Grace Hart. And Elena held that paper like it was made of gold. 5 years passed in this beautiful blur of school plays and birthday parties and family movie nights, and they started a tradition of going back to Chen's Café every Christmas Day to remember where it all started. Mrs. Chen, who was 73 now but still working, would always save them the same booth. My favorite family, look how big Lily's gotten. And Lily, who was now 9, would tell the story proudly. This is where I met my mama Lena. I walked up to her because she was crying and I asked why she was sad on Christmas. The Christmas when Lily was 9, they had a surprise to share. Elena was pregnant at 38 with a baby they absolutely weren't planning, but were thrilled about anyway. Lily was beside herself. I'm going to be a big sister. I'm going to teach her everything. And when they told her the story of how sometimes the best things aren't planned, she connected it immediately. Like when you met Daddy and me at the cafe, that wasn't planned either, right? Elena kissed her forehead. Exactly like that, baby. The best things in our life have been the unexpected ones. Baby Noel was born on December 24th, just barely missing Christmas. And 10-year-old Lily was obsessed with her baby sister, constantly wanting to hold her and sing to her and help with everything. Elena would watch Lily with Noel and think about her parents and how desperately they'd wanted grandchildren, how they'd never get to meet these girls, but somehow Elena believed they'd sent Gavin and Lily to her that day in the cafe. Your parents would be so proud of you, Gavin said one night watching her rock Noel to sleep, and Elena leaned into him. I think they sent you to me, I really do. I think they knew I needed saving, and they sent a 4-year-old girl with a stuffed rabbit to save me. 6 years later, Lily was 16 and writing her college application essay about the Christmas that changed everything, about seeing a crying stranger and having the courage to ask why she was sad, about how that one question led to finding her mother and her family. The essay went viral when she shared it online with permission. Thousands of people commenting about how beautiful it was, how it proved family is chosen, not just given, and Elena read it crying so hard she couldn't see the screen. Mom, why are you crying? Is it bad? Lily asked, worried, and Elena pulled her into a hug. It's perfect. You're perfect. Our entire family's perfect, and I'm just so grateful you were brave enough to talk to strangers. Every Christmas Eve, they still went to Chen's Café, even though Mrs. Chen had retired and only opened special for them now. And this year, Lily was telling 6-year-old Noel the family origin story. Mama Lena was so sad and alone, and I walked over with Hoppy and asked why she was crying, and then we became a family, and Noel's eyes were huge. So you saved her? Lily shook her head. We saved each other. That's how real families work. Everybody saves everybody else. Elena and Gavin watched their daughters, and Gavin whispered, 10 years ago, you invited 2 homeless strangers to stay one night in your apartment. And Elena smiled. Best impulse decision I ever made. What about you? Gavin kissed her softly. Mine was saying yes, even though I was terrified of accepting help. On the cafe wall, Mrs. Chen had hung a photo from that first Christmas. Elena and Gavin and 4-year-old Lily all squeezed into a booth, looking nervous and hopeful, and underneath it, she'd written in her shaky handwriting, the family that found each other Christmas 2014, proof that miracles happen in ordinary places. She was spending Christmas alone at a cafe, crying into cold coffee, convinced she'd be lonely forever, until a single dad and his 4-year-old daughter sat beside her and changed absolutely everything. But here's the real truth. It wasn't just the sitting beside her that mattered, it was the asking. A little girl brave enough to ask a stranger why she was sad. A woman brave enough to offer help even when she was drowning herself. A father brave enough to accept that help even when his pride was screaming no. What changed everything wasn't one single moment, it was 1,000 tiny choices to keep choosing each other every single day after that first one. If you've ever spent a holiday completely alone, if you've ever felt like you missed your chance at family, if you've ever wondered if small acts of kindness actually matter, this story is your answer. Sometimes family isn't something you're born into. Sometimes it's a 4-year-old with a stuffed rabbit and the courage to care about strangers. Sometimes it's opening your door for one night and discovering you're opening your heart forever. Hit subscribe if this reminded you that loneliness ends the second you let people in, that the best families are built through choice, not obligation, and that sometimes the person sitting beside you at a cafe on Christmas is actually sitting beside you for the rest of your life. Thanks for being here with us.